for my adopted small business market assessment, I had Skip Sagris, who I did my interview with a few weeks back. So we'll get right into it. All right. So for the recap of the interview, just a brief recap here. He started as a franchisee with Dunkin' Donuts back in 1985. It was kind of a long path to get there. He managed several warehouses in the Boston area before he got into the Dunkin' Donuts stream. He didn't really like working as the manager or a franchisee. It dealt with too much staffing and things like that. So he decided to go strictly into development, and he actually was the first one in the country to do this. And what he did was basically he handled all the development of the store, and then he would lease it at 12% of the revenue or a pre-discussed base fee. Whichever one is higher for that property is what he would receive as income. He recently sold 4 of his properties. He was up to 13 in New Hampshire, and now he is down to 9 properties. Just because it was, as I'll show you later, it was getting a little bit difficult to manage. He's about 57 years old, and retirement's going to be coming soon. Alright, so for external analysis, the real estate market is definitely improving from the recession. I checked out a couple different websites. In 2013 seemed to be a turnaround year. The value of the houses or any real estate is not quite what it was pre-2007, but it's getting very close. Then I kind of looked at just the industry. There are 170 Dunkin' Donuts in New Hampshire, which is by far the biggest coffee chain in the state. They're all over the state. They really capitalize in rural areas where many small coffee shops or like Starbucks will not go. They also focus on the blue-collar worker, which is why they go there to the rural areas. That's what Dunkin' Donuts likes to try to capitalize on. There's only 17 Starbucks in the state, which I found very interesting. Dunkin' Donuts kind of ran away with the market. And they're located in cities and larger populations. Those are getting added a little bit more frequently now, but it's a very, very small amount for New Hampshire, as Dunkin' Donuts has kind of dominated the Northeast. And the biggest competitor is actually the local coffee shops. A lot of, kind of small businesses that sell coffee around the area. They don't have the same brand recognition. People aren't quite as familiar with the menu. So Dunkin' Donuts does have an advantage there. Alright, and then here, this is just I pulled this up on Google Maps, just an example. This is, I'm sure you can see on your slide a little bit better, but it's pretty amazing if you just type in, coffee house on Google Maps. It pops up with, hundreds of choices. And obviously if there's 100, I think there's over 400 something right here. So 170 Dunkin' Donuts, that shows you how many different little coffee shops there are. And if you I went through and clicked on where each one was just to get like a geographical location for each of the brands. And Dunkin' Donuts really does capitalize in the rural areas, and Starbucks and the coffee shops are either in little villages or in the higher population cities. Alright, and then for internal analysis, this was just a brief snapshot of basically what he told me during the interview. The businesses that he has are very spread out through the state. New Hampshire is actually, believe it or not, bigger than it seems. So it would take a long time for him to drive around, and it was kind of difficult to maintain regular site visits. So that's why he sold 4 of his 13 stores, just to try to downsize and make it more manageable, especially with fee collection and things like that. His son, which is an interesting point, is also a Dunkin' Donuts franchisee. So Skip kind of got him started with the business. He owns 2 stores, one in New Hampshire and one in Vermont. And the succession is going to be the next big priority for Skip as he's heading towards retirement. Alright, so the next step is what I just said. What exactly he will do with the business once he decides to retire. So I, as the consultant, came up with 3 options. His son Greg could become the operations manager for Skip and slowly take over the business. And then he could also hire an outside, someone that's out of the family, operations manager, and then he could just sell the properties and kind of cash out. Okay, so for option 1, Greg could sell his 2 Dunkin' Donuts businesses, and he would become the operations manager for Skip. And basically, he would use his current experience of knowing the business of Dunkin' Donuts, and then learn the real estate side from Skip, how to policies and procedures, regulations, things like that to build at Dunkin' Donuts, and also learn a little bit how becoming a successful landlord and fee collection. And then the tentative plan just is just something that I think would work out well. Would if he started out receiving about 20, Greg started receiving about 20% of the profit at the beginning of the training, and then as he took on more responsibility, he would get a higher percentage. And then Skip is kind of slowly phased out of the operations, which is good for him. Alright, so option 2 would be to hire outside of the family. This would allow Greg to run his own businesses. And then there would be a reduced workload for Skip while still tapping into the revenue. And Skip still maintains some control. And then semi-retirement would happen almost immediately. And then for option 3, he could just sell on locations and cash out and basically have a large payday before he retires. It would be instant retirement once he's sold the properties. And he could easily sell to the franchisees that he's currently renting to or another developer. Alright, and then my recommendation is to go with option 1. That would be for Greg to take over the business. This just makes the most sense. It's kind of what he's been gearing up for his whole life. For the most part, and Greg does like his own business, but I think that once he realizes the additional revenue stream he could get in foundation with Skip's business, that this is what he would like to do. He gets a real good volume to start, and he could really grow the business. And then Skip is still tapping into the revenue stream for a long time, and still has a little bit of control. Even when Greg completely phases him out, it will still be a little bit, he'll have some say in the company. And then just knowing him, he has a passion for what he does, and he put a lot of hard work into it, so I think that he would want to have it stay in the family. And that is the end of the presentation.